Welcome back to the PBC. It's your boy PBK9s, giving it to you the way I always do. Fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. Some gonna like it like I always say, and some ain't, man. I hope everybody having a great day out there, enjoying themselves, enjoying work, having a productive day out there at work. I speak to people from all across the world, so it may be morning time. Somebody may be watching this video and it may be 5 o'clock in the morning while other folks watching it, and it may be 9 o'clock at night. It just depends on where you're at in this world, man. Big shout out to everybody from continent to continent. You know what I'm saying? War never solves any problems, man. So let's just hope this war can stop that's going on in the Middle Eastern area, because war never solves anything, man. It's your boy PBK9s, and today what I'm going to speak about is a little bit of news that we got coming from Georgia, and we got some news coming from North Carolina as well. From Georgia, we got a young lady who was mauled by her own dogs, or her and her husband's dogs, and this is another sad situation where we have, I want to say about 12 to 15 dogs that was in the situation, and when the police arrived, the dogs were bloody up, blood all over the bodies, where they done, grabbed the lady and she died from, loss of blood, basically what they're saying, which happens like that with everybody who passes away from an animal attack most of the time. But let's just talk about it for a few minutes, man, and then I'm gonna give y'all that article. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go straight to the article because it's not real long, and then we'll speak about it when it's done. Let's go to DEKALB County, Georgia, where a woman lost her life, a young lady lost her life from her own dogs, man. You know what I'm saying? We covered news articles like this multiple times. You remember the brother from California that had what they was calling them pit bull mixes? And when we looked at the dogs, you know what I'm saying? We us as pit bull brothers, we knew them wasn't pit bulls. You know what I'm saying? And we knew the kind of dogs that they were. You don't play with mixing that stuff. And I already told you, even pit bull mixes, when you're mixing them pit bulls, you get something unpredictable, And when you're mixing them Presa Canaries, you get something unpredictable. When you're mixing them Cane Corsos or Cane Corsos, just depends on how you want to pronounce it, you get something unpredictable. And I want to say this about Cane Corsos or Cane Corsos. Those are some of the most lovable dogs it is. Their size will fool you. Their look will make you think they're super aggressive dogs. But them dogs are some big babies, at least the ones I dealt with. I don't know the breed like I know the pit bull breed. The ones I dealt with, it fooled me. Made me think he was going to be some big tough guy when he was just a big baby. But anyway, let's get into this news article, and then we'll speak about it when I'm done.
Services now says the dogs involved in a deadly mauling in Snellville belong to the victim and her husband. Police say 43-year-old Minovia Tinsley was attacked and killed inside her home on Anderson Valley Drive. They found her body Wednesday along with several dogs inside the house. Tinsley's family says she was a mental health and addictions counselor devoted to helping others, and they are now urging a full investigation into what happened.
Coming to you from the PBC, 15 dogs seized after fatal DeKalb County mauling. The brief Minovia Tinsley was found dead by her husband Tuesday morning after being mauled by multiple dogs at her home. The DeKalb County medical examiner determined Tinsley bled to death, and 15 dogs have since been surrendered for quarantine. The sudden intake has pushed the local animal shelter over capacity, leaving 13 other dogs facing a Thursday night euthanasia deadline if not adopted. What we know about the DeKalb County dog mauling. The woman was found by her husband Tuesday morning after he returned home, according to DeKalb County Public Safety. Police officers responded around 9 a.m. to the home in the 1400 block of Anderson Valley Drive. When they arrived, officials said they found the woman, identified as Minovia Tinsley, dead in a room with 9 dogs. The DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office said her cause of death was exsanguination due to multiple penetrating avulsive injuries. The Medical Examiner's Office noted that this means Tinsley bled to death after being mauled. There were also 6 other dogs in or around the home, according to officials. All 15 dogs have been surrendered and are being quarantined for at least 10 days to check for rabies. DEKALB Animal Shelter Overcapacity, Lifeline Animal Project, said it received 15 dogs in connection with the mauling. The animals are currently on court case hold, meaning they cannot be adopted, photographed, or videotaped. The influx of dogs has put the shelter beyond its capacity. As a result, 13 other dogs at the shelter need to be adopted or fostered by 7 p.m. Thursday, or they will face euthanasia. According to the Department of Public Safety, the dogs directly involved in the fatal mauling have demonstrated behavior that poses a significant risk to public safety. Officials said appropriate action will be taken following the quarantine. Unknown dog breed. What we don't know. Officials have not said what type of dogs mauled Tinsley or what may have caused the attack.
I always say, man, it's always a sad situation when something like this happens, and it never matters what kind of breed it is when something like this happens. But at the same time, let's just talk about it for a few minutes, Let's talk about it because it's something that I noticed that's kind of funny. And it's not about the situation. Nothing is funny about that situation. My condolences to a family, like I always say to anybody that goes through that situation. But the funny part about it is the news people didn't say what kind of breed of dog it was. And we know they always throw the American Pit Bull Terrier up under the bus when something like that happens. Even if it's mixed pit bull, look like a pit bull, anything, they throw the dog up under the bus. So it's kind of odd to me that they didn't say what breed of dog it was. That's kind of odd because I've been doing this news for a little while now. And when I get the news, they always say it was a pit bull, or it was this kind of dog, or that kind of dog. They always do it. So when they don't do it, it draws my attention. And being that they don't got no information really on what happened, how it happened. I seen one article posted up as an accident. Let's talk about it from an accident, and then we're gonna keep on going and talking about it. Because I gave y'all the news article with the dog attacking the dog in the dog park, and I had all kind of reactions from that. And I appreciate everybody that tuned into that video clip and gave their opinion on, how you should come to the dog park with your dog. But let's just talk about this, and let's start from the accidental standpoint. 12 dogs, 15 dogs. How can something like that happen as an accident, one might say? Okay, we did articles like this before, and just a few weeks ago, maybe about a month or so, we had a woman who lost her life from her own dog, but it was one dog. And, they say she fell to the floor, and the dog attacked her. Now, we don't know what happened, but we can just guess and assume stuff, right? In that particular situation, not this one that we're speaking on now, where it was one dog, we know the woman fell on the floor. She could have passed out. She could have had a medical issue, and just fell and startled the dog. When you startle them dogs sometimes, they react in an unpredictable way. She could have just been standing by her dog that loved her and just fell on the dog. The dog could not have been looking at her, could have been looking a whole different direction than looking at her. And then when she fell on the dog with all her weight, or scared the dog when she fell, we all get scared. If we're not paying attention to something, and then something falls, like behind us or in an area that we're not looking at, it scares us as human beings. We can get startled. And what we do when we startle, Okay, quick example. To my brothers that tote firearms, you know what I'm saying? You got a firearm on you. You're not looking to hurt nobody. You're not even in that mode right now, right? And you're just chilling, and something scares you from behind. A noise, something falls, something. First thing you do is you grab and you tell that person if it's nothing wrong. You be like, "Oh boy, I like to shot you," or "Oh boy, I like to did this," or "Oh, I like to did that." It's because you startled and you go into your protection, the thing that you got on you to protect you. So it's the same way with the dog. If the dog not looking at what's going on, and he sees you or hears something that frightens him, then he launches out to protect himself. Sometimes it's too late. Some of them dogs, once they get in that mode, it's hard to stop them. And maybe she fell on the dog, and maybe the dog thought that she was trying to hurt him. They don't think the way we think. Even though we can get a dog that's super smart, they don't think the way we think. You know, so we never found out what really happened to make that dog attack that woman. But now we come to another situation where we got 12 dogs. Now just imagine if one of the 12 dogs were startled, if it's an accident, right? They say, I seen one news report say it was an accident. Now you got 12 dogs. Now, how can it be an accident? It may be an accident for one or two of them. If something happened and startle the dog, frighten the dog, not a dog go out and do something unpredictable. I always tell brothers, these designer dogs, which are the dogs that we create by mixing dogs, labradoodles, this kind of doodle, that kind of lab, this kind of pit bull, and that kind of bull. You know, they got all kind of designer dogs. Some of the designer dogs are rather big. So when you do things to these dogs that's unpredictable, they give you unpredictable reactions. And sometimes it really costs people their lives. You know, I can't see those dogs attacking that woman without it being a real reason if they were her dogs. You know, I don't care what breed it was. And I'm not gonna say, you know how I always say the pit bull is never the pit bull. It's never the dog that, and for people that's watching my video, when I say the pit bull, I'm talking about the one that they call the fighting dog. You know, it's never the one that they call the fighting dog. The fighting dog, when we get in trouble, or the people around the country get in trouble for the pit bull, the fighting dog, is when they're going out there and trying to fight it, you know. But at the same time, when they made that Sports Illustrated magazine back in the days, they were talking about the fighting dog, but they were saying it as if the dog was a dog that would take your life. You know, I'm trying to be careful what I say on YouTube, make sure my monetization stays straight. They talk about it like it's a dog that'll take your life. You know, and if you remember the video where the news reporter, the animal catcher lady was coming and the woman said, what you doing? Sam's coming out. Sam's coming out. I think that was what the dog name was. And she's like, you better run, or something she was saying. I may be getting a little wrong, but you know which video I'm talking about. And the dog came out and attacked the animal shelter lady. You know, I'm not even saying that was a full-blooded pit bull, which it could have been, because we always say some of these dogs are human aggressive. But some of these dogs, they trick people. They're not pit bulls. They're not pit bulls, rather. You know, and they look the same, you know, to a person with an untrained eye. You know, and in this particular situation, it's going to be hard for me to believe that she had 12 to 15 pure American pit bull terriers loose on her property to the point where, you know, they was all getting along like that. Because you can train your dog from a puppy. You can have them around people. You can do all this stuff. And you don't have to train them for fighting or nothing. You know, but it's going to be kind of hard to have 15 American pit bull terriers around each other in that manner without somebody starting problems out of that group with each other. You got to break up a fight today. You got to break up a fight tomorrow. They don't normally do this, but it's always one bad apple, two bad apples, and that many dogs. Now, what I'm thinking is one of these other breeds, you know, because I'm almost sure, even though I haven't heard what kind of dog it is, I'm almost sure there wasn't American pit bull terriers. You know, and I ain't gonna say the real American pit bull terrier. I'm saying the American pit bull terriers. You see, even when it come down to the Staffordshire terriers and the Staffordshire bull terriers, those dogs possess more human aggression than your American pit bull terrier does. And then they take them Staffordshires and they breed them in different dogs, and you get different kind of designer breeds when you take them Staffordshires. A lot of people just look at them Staffordshires and they think that's a pit bull, but that's not a pit bull. Same. It come from the same origins of dog, but the Staffordshire weeded away from the fighting genetics, you know, but kept the look and all that type of stuff. But they weeded away from the fighting genetics, and when they did that, they got more human genetics. The people that got the American pit bull terriers, they stayed with the fighting genetics and kept away the human aggression. That's why you may hear some brothers sometimes say they call the dogs that's human aggressive, or they do this to the dogs that's human aggressive. But like I said, sometimes these dogs, the genetics, you always hear the people on TV say, oh, that's a purebred dog. Oh, that's why it cracked up. That's why it's crazy. The pureness in the dog, the inbreeding and all that type of stuff in the dog. I have yet to see that be proved, scientifically be proved that this is the reason these dogs do certain things. You know, what I have seen scientifically proven myself is what makes a human aggressive dog is the fact that you take a whole lot of time up with an American Pit Bull Terrier, any dog for that matter. You take a whole lot of time up, and that's your one and only dog. That dog is not a bad dog. He is a protective dog now. He wants to protect you. He wants to protect the area that you walk in. You know, that area that he can see. If he can see, nobody's going to come up to you starting nothing. He's going to protect that area. And that don't come from genetics inside the dog. That comes from you showing the dog love. You know? I mean, you can have a dog that's just scatterbred, not bred tight at all, what we call scatterbred, no kind of inbreeding in it. It's a purebred pit bull, but the person who owns it shows it the kind of love he never seen before. You know, if it's a grown dog coming from another area, or they've been treating the dog like a family member since the dog been a puppy. What kind of dog that has been treated like a family member is going to let you mess with their owner? So then you get an human aggressive pit bull. And then the brother will be like, oh, we trying to weed this, we trying to weed that out, we trying to weed this out. But only thing you did was show that dog a lot of loving, you know? So at the end of the day, man, like I said, we don't know what breed of dogs these is. In Atlanta, and we talking 15 dogs. I know, like I said, I can't assume anything, but I'm assuming it's some of them other breeds, like your Prairie Canaries, your Cane Corsos, your Pit Bull mixes, your bully dogs, you know. And salute to all my bully breeders out there. And I don't want to sound like I'm always talking trash about the bully dogs, but somebody gotta, you know, let these folk know that we taking all the blame for everything they dogs or all these other dogs do. So I have to say it may be a bully, or it may be this, or maybe that. Because I'm almost willing to shake on it with any brother out here, any sister out here. I'm almost willing to shake on it that those dogs weren't American Pit Bull Terriers. You know, those dogs are a lot smarter than you think. A lot smarter, man. And sometimes, like I said, any dog can be startled. And once you startle these dogs, you know, we don't know once they get to that level, we don't know exactly what it takes to calm them down all the time. Outside of just leave them alone. You know, but once the dog bites you, the old saying, oh, he bloodthirsty now, he got the taste of blood. I don't know nothing about it. None of that stuff is scientifically proven. But what is proven, when you show them dogs love, they will bite somebody else. That is a proven fact. You know? But like I said, man, I don't know myself what triggered these dogs to attack that young lady, man. I hope the husband gets down to the bottom of the whole situation. They done euthanized, or they, at least I think that's what the article said. A majority of the dogs were euthanized, which they should be. You know, after doing such a thing as they did, they should not be in nobody else's care. And I'm quite sure the husband, if they wouldn't have euthanized him, he would have walked up to him and took, how my man said up north, turn their TVs off. You know, I'm quite sure he couldn't look at them dogs without turning their TVs off. You know, so man, all I can say, you know, in this particular situation, we don't have all the outs and the ins about it yet. So I can't say she wasn't practicing responsibility, you know. But I will say this, man. When you got these dogs like this, when we have 10 dogs, 15 dogs walking around loose in your property, on your yard, in your house, wherever you got them at, you might better start thinking about keeping weapons on you at all times. You know, if the dog attack from the back, it's nothing I can really do. But if you got a pistol on your hip, when you wake up, you need a pistol on your hip. If you're going to be in the mix of all these kind of animals at one period of time. And not saying that that one dog couldn't have did what all the other dogs did. Not saying that one or two dogs didn't do the whole situation and it got blamed on all 15 dogs. Can you imagine? Only one dog did all this stuff and maybe the blood was flying all over the place. What if some of the other dogs were trying to stop the dog and they got blood on them just by trying to stop them? And they got put down, put to sleep, because of the situation. So you never know, man. And hopefully cameras caught some of the stuff to give some type of insight on what really happened to this young lady. All we can do, man, is practice responsibility. Sometimes responsibility don't necessarily mean keeping your dog on a leash, keeping them in the cage the right way. Sometimes you got to practice vigilance. Sometimes you got to practice, how we used to have fire drills and all kind of stuff when we was in school to practice if something really happened. You got to think about it like that. If these dogs flipping here right now, what can I do to get myself out of trouble? How can I get out of this situation? Sometimes we got to not necessarily practice it. We got to think about it and take precautions. Like I said, even if you don't got the gun on you, you got to have firearms at all areas where you be at with these dogs. That way you can reach some of this stuff. Even if you don't have it on you, you have a fighting chance after you got bit by maybe one or two of them, then you can get to this weapon and clear the crowd up a little bit, And I'm not going to even say, you can be a superhero like that all the time. Because when these dogs attack you, no telling what they attack for. They attack you from the back. These dogs are big enough to knock you down. These dogs are big enough to hold you down. So imagine any of my brothers out there who like to say, I'm too strong for this to happen to me or it won't happen to me. You got a bunch of dogs and they know the good weight on them, 60, 70, 80 pounds, 90 pounds, some of them bigger than that. And you're not paying attention. You cooking breakfast up there. One of them grab you from the back without you looking, snatch you straight backwards to your back, from the back. Boom, slam you to the floor. First thing, you're going to be in shock because you're not even expecting what's going on. Second, you don't know how strong that bite was to actually freeze you up to the point where you can't actually move the way you thought you could move. I done been bit by a dog in the arm and my whole arm go numb. So imagine you getting bit by a dog in your neck somewhere and it goes through your spinal area, the pressure and all that stuff. And now you have a temporary paralysis type situation going on where you just couldn't move for a good 30 seconds or 10 seconds. That's all it takes. You know what I'm saying? So we got to just practice, man. Practice the what if happened, the what if situations. What if these dogs flip like this around my kids? What if these dogs flip like this when my wife home by herself? What if these dogs flip while I'm out here feeding them? That brother in California, you don't think he thought he could handle them dogs if something happened? But when that shit happened, man, these dogs are animals. These dogs are animals, man, and that shit is sad, man, but them dogs make the strongest men look weak. Regular sized dogs, small dogs, when there's that many of them. So let's go to this next news article, my brothers, my sisters out there. Y'all hit that like button up. Y'all hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. Like I always say, I'm going to North Carolina where an elderly lady was found, deceased from a dog attack. You know where you got it from first. It's the PBC. It's your boy PBK9s giving it to you fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. Let's go.
Investigators have identified the body they found in the Hiwassee Dam community as that of a 75-year-old woman, the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office says. At this time, they are not releasing her name to the public. Her family had requested a welfare check around the same time authorities found her dead. When first responders found her, it was evident that her death was not from natural causes, so they launched an investigation with the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation and Cherokee County District Attorney's Office. Medical examiners conducted an autopsy on Friday, February 27 at Atrium Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center in Winston-Salem. Preliminary findings indicate she was killed in a dog attack. In the early evening hours that same day, investigators seized 3 dogs from a home on Cross Creek Lane. They are currently being held in quarantine. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victim's family during this difficult time, the sheriff's office stated. This investigation remains ongoing.
That's the news for the day, man. Y'all stay safe out there. Y'all stay legal out there. Remember, man, practice safety. It ain't all about responsibility all the time. You know, when this incidences like this happen, practice safety the same way we was practicing safety for them tornado drills, fire drills, and all that type of stuff, man. Like I said, y'all stay legal. Y'all pay attention to what's going on around you in your surroundings. It's your boy PBK, and I'm out.